Hello everyone, my name is Romulo Albas Jr. and I will be your discussant, okay? So today I'll be discussing about the philosophy of education in humanism. There are some of you already know what philosophy that you are following, and there are some of you also, there are some schools that you are teaching right now following this philosophy. Why it is very important that we are going to discuss this philosophy of education, and why it is very important that we need to know this different philosophy. It is very important because as a future planners, we also adopt some of this philosophy in our respective organization. And there are some schools who are following in this same philosophy. They have their own philosophy. Just an example, in Inferno International Schools, we are following a different, different philosophy also. Okay, and I know that some of your in your respective schools, you have also your own philosophy. So this philosophy of education is somewhat very interesting because it really gives us an idea as to how humanisms work, how humanisms applied in our day-to-day discussion or lessons inside our classroom. Okay, so first, what is an education philosophy? Okay, yun yung pinaka-first question natin. What is an education philosophy? Before I'll proceed my next slide. A philosophy of education is a statement or a set of statements that identifies and clarifies the beliefs, values, and understanding of an individual or group with respect to education. Okay, with respect to education. Here, there are some proponents already introduce what is humanism all about, but how this philosophy help the education, how this philosophy jive with education. Okay, so like what I've mentioned, it's a set of statements that identifies and clarifies the beliefs, values, and understanding of an individual or a group with respect to education. This defined in this sense, it may be taught or more or less organized body of knowledge and opinion on education, both as it is conceptualized and as it practiced. Okay, and it is practiced. Even in every teachers, they have their own philosophy, like what I've mentioned a while ago. A philosophy of this sort is critical in defining and directing the purpose, objectives, and focus of the school. Okay, it depends. We as a future educational planners, it depends if what is the purpose of the school, what is the objectives, or what is the goal of the school. So we are making our educational philosophy based on example for the school perspective. Okay, in a school setting, we base the philosophy based on the VMJO or the mission, vision, goals, and objectives. So it should be it also serves to inspire and direct educational planning, programs, and processes in any given settings. Okay, it depends. If we are into school settings, so it also matters with the VMJO or the goals of the schools, but with if the setting is within yourself, it depends. Okay, it depends, how you really handle students, and how you deliver lessons, and how you teach your students. Okay, so in my next slide, I will show you something, and these are the following who really give us an idea on how education, philosophy of education in humanism. Okay, and some of you might wonder, humanism is being introduced by Rousseau and other philosophers, but here I am presenting the philosophers with respect to education. Okay, humanism with respect to education, and we have Abraham Maslow and Carl Rogers. I know that some of you familiar with these philosophers. Abraham Maslow are known to his theory and the hierarchy of needs. Okay, so it's been mentioned, and also he introduces the philosophy of education in humanism, and also Carl Rogers contribute the philosophy of education in humanism. Okay, so the root of humanism are found in the thinking and Erasmus. Okay, that is in 1946 1466 to 1535, who attacked the religious teaching and thought prevalent in this time to focus on pre-inquiry and rediscovery of the classical roots of Greece and the Rome. Okay, so Erasmus believed in the essential goodness of children, that humans have free will, moral points, moral values, the ability to reason, aesthetic sensibility, and the religious instinct. Okay, so we have the Erasmus who really introduces us humanism. But when we talk about philosophy of education in humanism, Abraham Maslow, Carl Rogers are the one who are really into the presentation of this philosophy. Okay, so next is I'll be discussing to you the outline. Okay, the outline of my discussion. So first, I'll be discussing to you what is humanism and education. Okay, what is humanism and education? Second, the two principles of humanism. Okay, humanism itself. What are the principles? Okay, we have two. And third one, we have the educational implication, specifically in humanism. Why it is very important that we really need to know the implication, the educational implication of this philosophy. Okay, for us to really understand if what is the goal or what is the main focus of this philosophy. And the last one is the principles of humanistic education. Okay, we have two principles in humanism. Okay, entirely focused on humanism. But here, our last one will focus on the principles of humanistic education. Okay, so that would be our last discussion. To start with my discussion, of course, I'll be giving you what is philosophy of humanism and education. Okay, when we say humanism is a movement organized to gain for man and proper recognition in the universe. Okay, that is a humanism perspective. How about for educational perspective? Okay, educational thought in humanism is concerned with restoration and lost values. Okay, that is the main focus of the educational perspective. Another, we have in humanism, a man is considered an end and not a means. Okay, a man is considered an end, not a means. But in education perspective, man is a free agent. Okay, yun yung beliefs. We are going to, what we call this one? Differentiate. We have humanism and education. What is the relationship of this one? So we already know. Okay, so next we have the humanism operates on two principles. What are these principles? First, values upheld by a nation affect history. Good follows when the nation values are of the highest quality. Okay, that is for humanism. Modern man must learn from history. That is for education. That is what we are following right now, that the modern man must learn from the history. What are the previous beliefs that we have? What are the previous teaching that we are following? Okay, that is in the education perspective. Okay, educational perspective rather. Next is the great literature stresses values. That is for humanism. The great literature stresses values. While for education, man comes to recognize pieces. Okay, that is for education. So as we all know that we believe that every human or every students that we have inside our classroom, meron siyang halaga, meron siyang purpose, meron siyang sariling interest. Okay, that is our beliefs as we follow the educational perspective. But when we are going to follow the humanism approach, the great literature stresses the values. Okay, the values that our ancestors are following. Okay, it depends. So next we have here our next slide. In humanism, learning is student-centered and personalized. Okay, when we talk about humanism, that is student-centered and personalized. So every students have their own, what we call this one, have their own talent, have their own skills and beliefs. Okay, so we could not really deny na every students meron silang sariling paniniwala. Even in many countries, they have their own talent, beliefs, skills, to be followed. Okay, it depends on them. It depends on how they learn. Okay, they learn the subject matter. So that is for humanism, student-centered and personalized. Okay, please remember, student-centered. Kapag humanism again, that is student-centered and personalized. And the educator's role is that of a facilitator. Okay, if we are going to follow the humanism approach, the teacher is always a facilitator. Okay, you are just going to roam around inside your classroom and then you check kung ano na yung mga natapos ng mga students and what strategy na ginagawa nila based sa discussion na ginagawa mo. Also, this is applicable sa tawag dito in school aspects. It depends. So if you are going to what we call this one, apply humanism in your organization. Example, if you are the principal, if you are going to follow humanism approach, so ibig sabihin, you as a principal, you are just going to facilitate. You are just going to help. You just let your teachers to work on their own. It depends sa skills nila. It depends sa kung paano nila i-deliver yung learning sa mga students nila. So you will just facilitate, okay? You're subordinate, okay? So next, affective and cognitive needs are key. Okay, we all know what is affective. We already know what is cognitive, and the goal is to develop self-actualized people in a cooperative, supportive environment. Okay, self-actualized. You are just going to help your students. Okay, if your students is naboboring na sa klase mo kasi napaka-easy na lang for him or for her yung mga lesson mo, then you what to call this one, you introduce something. Okay, you introduce something that is give students para a challenge. Okay, para ma-challenge yung bata, and then it will go into more para maano natin yung creativity ng bata. As we all know that our 21st century education students, they are more innovative. So, maboboring sila kapag if we are just discussing the lesson, wala tayong pinapagawa sa kanila na more interesting, more challenging. Okay? That is the goal of the 21st century education. Our students are more innovative, good in technology. Okay? So, people in a cooperative, supportive environment. Okay, supportive environment. You as a teachers, you show support to your students. Okay, you as a planners, you as a principals, you really need to support. You really give parang an advice, or you support your teachers. Okay, you give them advice, you give them opportunities. Pero yung gagawin nila is nakadepende kung ano yung hilig or yung skills nila or yung talent nila. Okay? So, again, just remember, kapag sinasabi natin humanism, it is student-centered. The teacher are now facilitator. Okay? And, ano yung dinidevelop natin? Our goal is to develop self-actualized people. Okay? In a cooperative way. Cooperative, you help each other, and then it depends sa hilig ng mga bata, and with the supportive environment. So that is how humanism works. So next, let's go with our next discussion, and that is educational implication with regards to humanism. Okay, so why it is very important, again, a while ago I've mentioned why it is very important that we know what are the implications in humanism for us to identify if tama na ba yung ginagawa ko? Naging humanism na ba ako sa ginagawa ko as of now? Okay, so we'll try to discover now kapag humanism approach pa yung ginawa mo. So, we in our previous discussion, meron tayong assessment to check kung anong philosophy tayo nagpa-follow. So, let's try. If you are really into humanism, okay? If you are really into humanism, these are the implications, okay? According to humanism, school of thought, educational programmers should foster an admiration of love for ancient cultures. Okay, that is how you deliver your topic. That is, if that is how you deliver your topic and to approach your students, then yes, you are a humanist. Okay, so next, okay, should foster an admiration, love for ancient cultures. Okay, that is our first implication. Second, this serves as an important, source for the growth of human civilization. Okay, that is for educational humanism. Source for the growth human civilization. Next, the third one is the younger generation should learn, okay? Ito, should learn to respect the wisdom of the scholars as it relates to to the field of human values. Okay? So we have here should foster an admiration, love for ancient cultures. Okay? Next, source for the growth of human civilization. And the last one is to respect the wisdom of the scholars as it relates to the field of human values. And we have next another set. We have another implications of humanism. Intellectuals, through their vast knowledge, okay, and intellectual ability, are in favorable position to set goals for the society. Okay, so an intellectual ability are in favorable position to set goals for the society. Next, we have respect for language. Okay, respect for language should be inculcated among the students. Okay, if you are following this implication, then you are humanist. Okay, under educational philosophy of education in humanism, rather. Okay, so next, last one, we have education must stress on the correct and appropriate use of vocabulary and follow the rules of grammar. Okay, so that are the implication of humanism. Okay, so here in this slide, we have the intellectual ability are in favorable position to set goals for the society. Okay, respect for language should be inculcated among the students. And the last one is education must stress on the correct and appropriate use of vocabulary and follow the rules of grammar. Okay, so that ends our discussion about the educational implication when we talk about the humanism approach. So next, we have, okay, the principles of humanistic education. We have 7. Okay, there are 7 basic principles of humanistic education. Ngayon, malalaman natin if what are the principles, what are the beliefs that I'm going to follow kapag humanism ako. Okay, kapag humanistic ako. Okay, so students should be able to choose what they want to learn. Okay, students should be able to choose what they want to learn. Student-centered. It depends kung anong learning ang gusto ng bata. Okay, so meron siyang mga choices. Sa lesson mo, dapat kapag if you are following the humanistic approach or humanism approach, meron kang choices. Okay, variety of strategy na binibigay mo sa bata para they have their choice, okay, to choose kung ano yung pipiliin, kung paano niya matutunan yung lesson. And even in your organization, you give choices, you give opportunities to your subordinates so that they can choose kung ano yung susundin nila. Okay? So, next, humanistic teachers believe that students will be motivated to learn a subject if it is something they need and they want to know. Okay? So, parang if you have students na parang curious about the history and so on, so students believe, motivate them to learn the subject. Okay? It depends. Even you are teaching science, so as we all know that science is more experimental, more on ganito, ganyan, more on innovation. But if you are a humanistic teacher, then you try to really give a history, okay? Historical background of our scientists. You're really into that, okay? You're really into the past or the previous, okay? Or the history of how science begin. So next, the goal of education should be foster students' desire to learn and teach them how to learn. Ito yung pinaka the best. Okay? You teach them. Okay? Desire to learn and teach them how to learn. Because this is very important. Ngayon kasi yung pinaka-common problem natin is we're just delivering the lesson. We're just giving instruction. Pero hindi natin tinuturuan yung mga bata kung paano matuto in an easy way. Okay? So, I read one article na meron ako nabasa na in other countries, tinuturuan nila yung bata on how to do parang business, on how to acquire or how to live in a very critical environment. Parang ganun yung tinuturo nila on how to start with their living. Okay? Yun yung the way or approach na ginagawa ng ibang bansa. Here in the Philippines, we are teaching we're putting in their mind na they need to finish the studies. Okay, they need to finish the studies para meron silang magandang trabaho. Pero ngayon, after you graduate in a bachelor's degree, hindi ka pa rin masyado nakakahanap ng work. Madami pa kayong mga jobless. Kasi yun ang tinuturo natin. Parang you really strive hard to study para meron kang magandang opportunity kapag graduate ka. Pero what happened? Okay, what happened now? So, our learners are trying to just learn the subject matter. Pero hindi natin sila turuan on how to learn, okay? To learn on this very challenging world that we have right now. Okay? So, yun yung pinaka misconception na na-acquire natin. So, there are some also videos na nakita ko na madaming qualification kapag mag-a-apply. Pero, if we teach our students on how to live in a very critical environment, then they are going to find ways. Okay? Maghahanap pa din sila ng paraan on how to sustain life. Okay? So next. Okay, so students should be self-motivated. Okay? Students should be self-motivated in their studies and desire to learn on their own. Yun yung pinakakailangan natin. Okay? If we are following the humanistic approach. So I think this one is a very good philosophy. So next, humanistic educators. Ito sa teacher. Humanistic educators believe that grades are irrelevant, and that only self-evaluation is meaningful. Okay? So educators believe that grades are irrelevant, that only self-evaluation is meaningful. Grading encourages students to work for the grade and not for their personal satisfaction. Eto ngayon, we are having this online classes. Some students are just trying to finish every modules na meron sila. Trying to submit every worksheets na meron sila. Trying to submit every projects na pinapagawa ng teachers. Pero yung goal talaga ng teachers na for you to learn is nawawala. Kasi nang dahil sa grade na binibigay natin. They are just working on that because of the grades. They are just working on that because they want to pass. Okay? They want to have a better grades. Okay? Yun yung naman yung purpose nila. Pero if we teach them how to learn, if we give them a motivation, okay? Motivation na not just a grade. It is very important, your personal satisfaction. You really learn what the topic. Okay, yun yung pinaka-importante. So, you really understood ba what I am trying to discuss? Yun yung pinaka-importante. Hindi yung, after my report, meron na akong grade, meron na akong kasi nakapag-submit na ako ng project or requirements ko. Okay, it's not about that one. It's not about on the requirements, on the projects, on the sip to your teacher. It's not about that. Okay, it's about the personal satisfaction. Okay, so next. Our fourth one is humanistic educators are opposed to objective tests. Okay? If you are like this one, you're opposed to objective tests because they test a student's ability to memorize and do not provide sufficient educational feedback to the teacher and student. Okay? If you are humanistic educators, you are not into objective tests. Okay? You are into parang essay. You are into parang interview. Okay? That is how you assess your students. Para bang you really need to know kung natutunan ba talaga. Okay? Hindi yung parang bibigyan mo lang and multiple choice and ganyan, isang answer lang dapat. No, because they have their own way of learning. So baka iba yung natutunan nila in other way. Iba yung sources na ginamit nila. And ito yung dapat, ito yung steps na ginawa niya. Pero if you are an objective type, then you are not a humanistic educators. Okay? Yung objective type, kailangan ganito, ganyan. Yung steps. In mathematics, this is applicable in mathematics. If you teach mathematics, may maraming solution na pwede magawa ng bata. Pero if you are not, what we call this one, a humanistic, then you try to parang, okay, this is wrong. Mali itong nagawa mo kasi ganito, ganyan. Okay? Kasi meron ka lang sariling solution na ginagamit. Okay? It's very also important na we somewhat become a humanistic teacher. Okay? So, humanistic educators believe that both feelings and knowledge are important to the learning process. Okay? Both feelings and knowledge. It's not more about giving information to students. It's about how they acquire that information. Masyado na bang napakadami ng information na binibigay mo? It's not about you just give all the modules. It's about how they learn. Paano nila na-acquire yung learning with respect sa feelings nila. Okay? Ganito, ganyan pala yan. So, yun yung pinaka main. Okay? Feelings, educators believe that both feelings and knowledge are important to learning when you are a humanistic educators. Okay? Unlike traditional educators, humanistic teachers do not separate the cognitive and affective domain. Okay? Hindi nila nasa-separate yung cognitive learning and yung feelings ng mga bata. Okay? And this one is applicable sa ating mga teachers. So you also give them parang a challenge, you give them instruction, and you also give motivation sa mga teachers or sa mga subordinate mo. Okay? Para they will work on their own, they become more productive. Okay? So Next, we have humanistic educators insist that schools need to provide students with a non-threatening environment so that they will feel secure to learn. Okay? So here, meron akong message na sinend ko. In this last day lang. Nag-send ako ng message giving me parang inspirational, ganito, ganyan. And it comes out na meron din silang message na, sir, you're very ganito, ganyan kasi walang threatening na ginagawa. Okay? Hindi ko sila pinipressure kung kailan masasubmit yung mga worksheets or activity nila. Basta ma-comply lang nila. Okay? Walang ganun na para they will really work that requirements or worksheets or performance as written work na pinapagawa mo on their own. Okay? On their own mode. Para bang you give them chances. Hindi yung takutin mo sila. Okay, if you will not submit this requirement, then you get 75. It's not in this trends now na meron tayo, we have the online classes, hindi na siya masyado effective. Bahala ka dyan kasi masyado nang dependent yung mga students sa kanilang rights. Okay? Hindi na siya nagiging effective kapag tinitreat natin yung mga bata. Okay? So if you are a humanistic environment, hindi ka mag-provide, hindi ka mag-start ng ganong aura. Okay? Sa loob ng klase. Once students feel secure, learning becomes easier and more meaningful. Okay? Just like in our what we call this one, in our schools. We are feel secure here kung saan ka nag-work, like in a private school. Kasi may mga tao talaga nagtanong, why are you still in a private school? When you feel secure and okay naman yung compensation, why transfer? Okay? In other schools. Why transfer in a public school? Why transfer in a government institution? Okay? So once the students feel that they are secure doon sa klase mo, then learning will follow. Okay? Becomes meaningful. Okay? And easier for them to learn. And kapag naging approachable ka, like may isang student sinabi niya, sir, ganito, ganyan, napaka-approachable mo because you joke something, you ganito, ganyan. So parang they feel secure and hindi sila matakot na mag-ask ng question because hindi ko sila tinitreat. Like, if inside your classroom may mag-ask ng question, parang binabara mo siya or philosophy yung pag-answer mo, pag-rebut mo sa kanya, and then they will not really feel secure and parang learning for them is not easy. Okay? And not meaningful kasi napipilitan na lang silang gawin yung mga worksheets or yung pinapagawa mo because kailangan nila yon. Okay? So next, they emphasize on the natural desire. Okay? They emphasize on the natural desires of everyone to learn. Okay? Ito na palagi kung binibigay ka niya. Natural desire. Sariling interest ng bata, kung ano yung gusto niya and paano ay kailan niya ito gawin. Okay? You give them the opportunity or the privilege kung paano or kailan. Okay? So the teacher it relinquishes a great deal of authority and become a facilitator. Okay? So, you become a facilitator. So, please always remember, kapag nag-follow tayo sa humanistic approach, we are just facilitator, student-centered, focus lang. Binibigyan natin sila ng magandang environment, favorable environment para easy lang sila matututo. Okay? And you give them opportunity. Yun yung pinaka-importante kapag humanistic approach yung pina-follow natin. And you will not just focus on the cognitive, but also focus on the feeling of your children. Focus on the feelings of your subordinate. Okay, that is humanistic approach. Okay, so I think that ends my discussion. Okay, I consumed 32 and 59 minutes. Okay, and 33. Okay, so for your clarification, questions, clarification, please feel free to contact me, Teacher Ram, through email or phone. Okay, just contact me. I have email address. We have Romulo Albas Jr. 1999 at gmail.com, and my mobile number Romulo 092658 Okay, and my consultation hour is Monday to Friday 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Okay, and if you are shy to contact or to give me a message, so just feel free to comment. Okay, nasa baba. Lagay kayo ng comment yung mga question, clarification, and I'll answer that one. Okay? Para for us to have a very meaningful learning. For us to have a very meaningful discussion. Okay? I encourage everyone to comment below kung ano yung feelings or ano yung mga natutunan mo. Okay? So, as part of your assessment today, I want you to comment kung ano yung mga natutunan mo about philosophy of education in humanism. Okay? So, I hope that you learned something today. I hope that you learned something and you can apply this one. You can bring this one in your day-to-day teaching. Okay? So, again, bigyan ko lang kayo ng recap. We discussed about humanism and education. We discussed about the types of humanism, 2 types of humanism, principle, okay, and we have the educational implication, okay, education implication in humanism, and last one is we discuss about the 7 principles of education in humanism. Okay, so thank you very much for watching this video. Goodbye everyone, stay safe, God bless, bye bye.